Hello, thanks for joining us. Tonight we ask, where have all Sir Joe's supporters gone? We look at a case of extraordinary injustice involving one of our leading banks, and we meet the gold prospectors of Tennant Creek, who'll give away half of their lucky strike, all because of a handshake.
She can smell gold.
Get her with a tick that she'd stay out there. No matter day.
So she don't stop working.
Something I can.
In just a week, Queensland Premier Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen has suddenly become very much a man alone. The National Party conference in Townsville, late last week and over the weekend, saw Sir Joe become isolated, not just from the party machine, but from some of his long-time supporters. Deputy Premier Bill Gunn described Sir Joe as out of tune with what's going on and recommended the 76-year-old Premier take a holiday and leave the running of Queensland to his cabinet ministers. And the architect of Sir Joe's tax policy at the recent federal election, former Treasury boss, now Senator, John Stone, was also seen to distance himself from Sir Joe at the Townsville conference. This afternoon, Senator Stone agreed to this interview. Senator, thanks for your time. What's wrong with Sir Joe?
Oh, I don't think that's the kind of question that I want to respond to, particularly, Michael. I take it you're referring to the events of the Townsville annual conference of the Queensland National Party. I think that conference turned out to be a very good one for the Queensland National Party.
Do you want Sir Joe to stand down?
Well, again, I don't really think that that's a subject on which I want to comment. I mean, Sir Joe is the Premier of Queensland.
But you're representing a lot of people as a senator. Do you have a view or do you not have a view?
He has indicated already that he has a date on which he proposes to retire. Some people are beginning to raise the question whether that should be the date. That's a matter in the end for the parliamentary party of the parliamentary wing of the Queensland National Party, including, of course, the Premier.
As a Queensland senator, who would you like to see lead your state party?
That is not a matter for me to be expressing opinions upon. I have my own views, but it's not a matter for me to be expressing opinions upon.
Why not?
That is because it is a matter for the parliamentary wing of the National Party to decide.
Yeah, but people vote for you to represent that party in Queensland?
I'm sorry, it'd be quite presumptuous of me and quite improper, in fact, to be expressing opinions on that matter, and you know that as well as I do.
No, I don't.
Well, I think, let me inform you, therefore.
You're saying to Queensland voters, you can vote for me as a member of the National Party to represent you in the Senate, but if you ask my view on who should run the state, I will not tell you.
I am saying that that is a matter for the parliamentary wing of the National Party, which everybody fully understands.
They will vote upon it.
Therefore, I do not propose to interfere in their councils.
Is Mike Ahern a good man?
He's a very good man.
Is he the right man?
I didn't say that. I said he's a very good man. There are plenty of good men in the Queensland National Party.
Would Mike Ahern lead a more honest government in Queensland than Joe Bjelke-Petersen?
I think if the implication of that is that Sir Joe has led a dishonest government, I think that's an implication I'd like to reject straight away.
I'll just repeat the question.
Well,
Do you think...
perhaps you'd frame it differently.
No need to. I'll put it exactly the same way. In your opinion, and you are a senator with responsibilities to the public and your party, do you believe that Mike Ahern would lead a more honest government in Queensland than Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen?
Well, I've already told you I have not the slightest intention of responding to a question framed in as, I think, offensive terms as that. To Sir Joe, offensive to Sir Joe. As that. If you asked me, would Mr. Ahern lead a good government, the answer is yes, he would, and so would some other people.
All right. Let me try again, just in case I've given offence to anyone. Would Mr. Ahern lead a government at the same level of honesty as Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen?
Look, Mike, don't chop words. I mean, you know as well as I do that you're asking the same question in a different way, and I give you the same answer.
Well, I asked Mr. Ahern that. He wouldn't answer. Now you won't answer. What is the problem?
There's no problem other than the nature of the question, the way you framed the question.
Pretty straightforward question.
No, on the contrary, it's a very underhand question which attempts to have an interviewee respond to you in a manner which would have the implication of casting doubt upon Sir Joe's reputation. That's what it seeks to do, and I'm not going to be in that.
Well, are all your colleagues equally honest? Equally?
I'm sorry, are you... well, I don't follow the question.
I think you do. Is corruption a problem in Queensland?
Oh, sorry. Let me address that straight away. It's quite obvious, I think, from the Fitzgerald inquiry that there is a problem of corruption in the Queensland Police Force, and there may be problems going beyond the Queensland Police Force. And the Fitzgerald inquiry, which has been set up with the full backing of the Queensland government, is now doing, I think, a magnificent job in opening up that question. And I only wish to goodness it had some similar inquiries in some other states, such as New South Wales and one or two other places as well.
Would Mr. Gunn run a more honest...
Mr. Gunn is another very good man, and I have the highest regard for him.
Would Mr. Gunn run a more open government than Sir Joe?
I think that whoever is the next Premier of Queensland will probably run a more open government than, in some sense of that term, than has been the case for some little time now.
You used the phrase, in some sense of the term. Could I put it to you, Senator, that when you were not in Parliament and when you were a public servant, very critical of most parliamentarians and the way they ran things, you would look down on a phrase like that because it was evasive, because it didn't address the question, because it wasn't directly honest. Well, I mean, what has changed you since you've become a senator?
I haven't changed in the least bit, Mike, but I haven't equally been in the practice of responding to interviews from Mike Willesee.
So if I'm a Queensland voter and I want you in the Senate, I have to accept that you're not going to tell me what you think.
On the contrary, you make up your mind about me as a Queensland voter about a lot of things, including how I respond to improper questions from Mr. Willesee.
The future of the administration of the state of Queensland.
The future of the administration of the state of Queensland is in very good hands. It's in the hands of the Queensland National Party, and will continue to be.
And would you like to put your name to the fact that you're happy to leave it exactly as it is?
I believe that it's not going to remain exactly as it is because in any case...
No, that wasn't the question. Now, you've been as critical of politicians more than me. That wasn't the question. Would you like to put your name to the fact that you're happy to have things stay as they are with the politics of Queensland?
I think the annual conference of the National Party last weekend indicated very clearly to the parliamentary wing of the National Party that certain changes need to be made. That, I think, was one of the great triumphs of that conference.
For a long-time critic of politicians, you've learned to become a politician pretty quickly, haven't you?
I think, Mr. Willesee, what I've learned to do is not to fall into traps which interviewers like yourself dig for politicians.
You happy as a politician?
I'm actually, interestingly enough, several people have asked me that question recently, and I said to them, the worrying thing is I'm beginning to enjoy it.
Senator Stone, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Willesee.
Senator John Stone of the National Party. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
I opened a moneymaker account with the State Building Society, mainly due to the fact that it offers big interest, and we're saving for a home, so any extra money goes into that, on Tracy's advice.
Well, it's a good savings account, and as you said, high interest. Yeah, the funds are on call, so if Robin does need to take the money, we try to encourage her not to, remind her of the high interest on the account and the house at the end of it all.
Because I wouldn't even go into the tool shed unless I know that Ted is sprayed with bacon.
Right. I don't blame you, and we spray when going on holidays to stop things breeding. Look, I think Bagon's fabulous stuff. I mean, I even use it when I'm storing clothes and things because they're too valuable to lose, aren't they?
More and more people rely on Bagon surface spray for peace of mind. One application gives months of protection.
I know when I'm fishing around my pots and pan cupboard, I don't want any nasty little surprises, you know.
If your muesli doesn't tempt you with luscious fruit, it isn't complete. Or delight you with currants dipped in yogurt. If your muesli doesn't surprise you with pine nuts, it isn't complete. Or satisfy you with more natural grains oven-baked in crisp clusters. In fact, muesli is only complete when it's made by Kellogg's. Kellogg's Complete Muesli. Complete satisfaction.
Room to live, to breathe and to grow. Rich rolling hectares with the freedom you've always wanted. It can be yours so easily at Emmerdowne, northwest of Orange. Spacious, manageable blocks from 2 to 4 hectares, available with 2-year interest-free terms. It's the same with the newer Cherrywood estate on the southern outskirts of the city. Both offer a way of life that most people only dream of. The Bathurst Orange Development Corporation or your estate agent can make it a reality.
Ray and Maria Hall are sitting on a gold mine, literally. They made international headlines recently by striking a rich seam of gold-bearing quartz near Tennant Creek in the Northern Territory. The find was immediately likened to Lassiter's Reef or the discovery of another Kalgoorlie. But in fact, it'll be many months before the Halls know just how rich they are. And as Rick Burnett reports, half of all they eventually dig up will go to somebody else, all because of what turned out to be a real golden handshake.
But I said, Ron, look, I found gold. And poor Ronnie just looked at me, with a half smile. And I said, didn't you hear me? I said, I found gold. And the smile sort of got a little bit bigger, and he just kept looking at me like, she's flipped.
Maria Hall could hardly contain herself. While her husband Ray was away getting water, she and excavator operator Ron Mills struck pay dirt.
We heard the car coming back, I said, that's the boys. Coming back. They're going to be happy, And I just got sort of just my head above the level of the ground and just I could see Ray looking over. I just sort of, gave a bit of a smile and a wave, and I think he got the message pretty quick.
That's a fair goal. I could tell by the chick looking at her face, eh?
Tennant Creek prospector Ray Hall estimates the find will put him on Easy Street. Though it's not quite the bonanza described in earlier reports, he figures he'll be a millionaire with any luck.
That hasn't been cleaned, it's just yes, he got it out the roof.
Introducing Terry Lillis, Alice Springs bookmaker, developer, gold mine speculator, on his way to inspect his latest success. And it was a simple handshake like this that will bring him a half share in Ray's gold find.
He will pay the driver and all the machinery and the diesel and everything else. It won't cost me a penny, and he'll get half the gold.
Last month, the Halls were planning to sell their 20-hectare lease for $100,000. Terry Lillis was the buyer, but decided against it at the last minute. Instead, he offered to lend Ray Hall his heavy earth mover for a week for half of any gold the Halls found.
So we just had a couple of beers and a handshake, and that's all it was. That was the deal. There's nothing in writing at all.
Well, I'm pretty excited. I haven't been out there since they've had the strike, and I've had to read about it in the papers.
Hey, mate. Good.
A quick jitterbug from mate Peter Jackson, and then it was into the champagne.
Yeah, right. Oh, she's a good one.